Starmer-India Gambit, the trade deal that got everyone talking. Before we dive into what might be the most consequential trade mission of Starmer's premiership, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to be here when this story unfolds, because what happened in Mumbai this week isn't just about trade figures and handshakes. It's about Britain's entire geopolitical future, and frankly, it's absolutely fascinating. Right, let's get straight to it. At 12:30 today, Keir Starmer faces what could be the most uncomfortable press conference of his time as Prime Minister. He's standing in Mumbai, surrounded by 5,700 posters of his own face plastered across the city like some sort of political messiah, about to answer questions that could define his entire approach to foreign policy. The China spy row, digital IDs, and the elephant in the room that nobody in Whitehall wants to discuss openly, India's rather cozy relationship with Vladimir Putin. Now, here's where it gets properly interesting. India, the world's fourth largest economy, soon to be third, is buying Russian oil, lots of it, while Britain and the rest of the West are desperately trying to strangle Putin's war machine with sanctions, trying to shut down his shadow fleet of dodgy tankers selling gas on the black market. Our new best friend Modi is essentially keeping the Kremlin's lights on. And Starmer has been remarkably quiet about it. Suspiciously quiet, some might say. But before you think this is just another story about political hypocrisy, let me tell you why this matters far more than you realize. Britain is in a rather awkward position, isn't it? We've left the European Union. Our special relationship with America is, shall we say, complicated under Trump's tariff tantrums, and we're desperately trying to prove we're still relevant on the global stage. Enter India. Nearly 7,000 jobs coming to Britain. Over £1 billion in investment. British universities opening campuses across India like Starbucks franchises. This isn't just a trade deal. This is Britain betting the house on a relationship that could either secure our economic future or compromise our principles entirely. The irony is delicious, really. A role reversal so complete it would make a Victorian empire builder weep into his gin and tonic. Britain, the former colonial master, now needs India's money more than India needs our approval. Starmer's offering Modi something absolutely tantalizing, a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. Think about that for a moment. The ability to sit alongside America, China, Russia, Britain, and France at the world's most powerful table. That's not just a diplomatic sweetener. That's a geopolitical equivalent of handing someone the keys to the executive washroom. Modi called it a new energy in UK-India relations. Energy is one word for it. Desperation might be another. Because let's be brutally honest about what's happening here. Starmer is performing an extraordinarily delicate balancing act. He needs Modi's investment to deliver those jobs, to show Brexit Britain can still close major deals, to prove Labour isn't just a party of managed decline. But he also needs to keep India from drifting into what Whitehall fears most, the autocrats club. China and Russia are circling India like sharks around a particularly attractive piece of meat. Putin's planning a visit soon. Modi rang him to wish him happy birthday, for goodness sake. Can you imagine the Foreign Office's collective blood pressure when that phone call happened? Here's what makes this absolutely gripping. Starmer's playing the same game with Modi that he played with Trump over NATO. Charm, flattery, strategic incentives, all designed to keep a powerful but unpredictable leader from making choices that would be catastrophic for British interests. The rock-star welcome in Mumbai, the biggest business delegation ever to accompany a prime minister, the lavish praise for India's remarkable economic growth story, it's all part of an elaborate dance. And the question everyone in Westminster should be asking is this: what exactly are we willing to overlook to keep this relationship sweet? During his face-to-face talk with Modi, Starmer discussed Ukraine. Modi, through a translator naturally, said they talked about the ongoing conflict and India's commitment to peace through dialogue and diplomacy. Lovely words. Diplomatic boilerplate. But notice what's missing? Any commitment to stop buying Russian fossil fuels. Any acknowledgement that India's energy purchases are directly funding the missiles raining down on Ukrainian cities. Starmer mentioned the need for a just and lasting peace in Ukraine, the need to break away from dependence on fossil fuels. But these were separate points, carefully constructed not to directly criticize India's current behavior. That's not accident. That's calculated ambiguity. The government team in Mumbai is apparently buzzing about how brilliantly everything's gone. They are thrilled with the optics, the deals, the the investment commitments. 8 British universities opening campuses in India, joining Southampton's Delhi operation. With 40 million students currently in higher education and 70 million places needed by 2035, there's a genuine opportunity here. These international campuses contributed £1 billion to the British economy last year alone. This isn't small potatoes. But let's talk about what happens at that press conference. Starmer's going to be asked about the China spy row, which is its own separate nightmare for Number 10. He'll be asked about digital IDs, which half his own party opposes. And then, inevitably, some journalist is going to ask him the question he's been avoiding since he landed in India. Prime Minister, how can you justify this special relationship with a country that's actively undermining sanctions against Russia? How can Britain claim to stand with Ukraine while shaking hands with one of Putin's most important economic partners? This is where political leadership gets properly difficult. Because the honest answer will be something like, we need India more than we need moral consistency right now, and we're hoping that by binding India closer to us, we can gradually shift their behavior on Russia. But prime ministers don't give honest answers like that. They give carefully worded responses about strategic partnerships, shared values, ongoing dialogues, and the importance of Foreign Office genuinely dismayed if India threw in its translation completely with China. We're going to ignore the uncomfortable dismayed is rather understated. Actually, it would be catastrophic. India joining the autocrats club would shift the entire balance of global power in ways that would make Brexit look like a minor administrative hiccup. So Starmer's calculation is clear. Better to have India inside the tent, even if they are still chatting with Putin, than outside it, fully aligned with Beijing and Moscow. It's realpolitik of the coldest kind. But here's what bothers me, and should bother you too. There's always this concern, regular concern the sources say, about civil liberties for minority groups in India. Modi's government has faced serious questions about religious freedom, about the treatment of Muslims, about the state of Indian democracy itself. And yet, Starmer's over there talking about shared values, about the Commonwealth connection, about this intimate shared history. Which bits of that shared history are we remembering? Exactly? The partnership bits, or the colonial exploitation bits? And which values are we sharing? Democratic ones, or the expedient ignore what's convenient ones? The University of Lancaster and University of Surrey have just been approved to open Indian campuses. The University of York, Aberdeen, Bristol, Liverpool, Queen's Belfast, and Coventry are all following suit, some opening as early as next year. This is British soft power at work, exporting education, values, cultural influence. In theory, these institutions will spread British academic standards, critical thinking, liberal democratic values. In practice, they'll be operating in a country whose government is increasingly authoritarian in its tendencies. How's that going to work when a British university campus in Delhi wants to host a lecture critical of Modi's policies? Will they stand firm on academic freedom, or will commercial considerations win out? These are the questions that won't be asked at the press conference, but they're the ones that matter long term. Because this new special relationship, as everyone's calling it, comes with costs that aren't measured in pounds or jobs. It comes with moral costs, strategic costs, the cost of what we're willing to tolerate from partners we decided we need too badly to criticize properly. Starmer supporters will say this is pragmatic leadership. Britain voted for economic growth, for jobs, for prosperity after years of stagnation. This deal delivers that. Nearly 7,000 jobs, over $1 billion in investment, expanding British presence in one of the world's fastest-growing economies. In a few years, if those jobs materialize and British businesses are thriving in India, this will look like shrewd statesmanship. But if India drifts closer to Russia and China anyway, if Modi uses British legitimacy to shore up his international standing while continuing policies we claim to oppose, then this will look like we sold our principles for a mess of pottage and didn't even get particularly good value. The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. Starmer's threading an impossibly narrow needle. He's trying to be everything to everyone, standing with Ukraine while embracing Ukraine's enemies' bankroller, promoting democratic values while cozying up to an increasingly autocratic government, claiming moral leadership while practicing ruthless pragmatism. In the months ahead, as that analysis piece suggested, we'll see if it succeeded in unlocking a new chapter in relations between two countries with the most intimate of shared histories. But I'd add a caveat. We'll also see what was sacrificed to write that chapter and whether the price was worth paying. So watch that press conference at 12:30. Watch how Starmer handles the Russia questions. Watch whether he offers any criticism at all of India's position, or whether it's all diplomatic niceties and careful deflection. Because how he answers today will tell you everything you need to know about what kind of foreign policy Britain's running under Labour. Are we a country with principles we'll defend even when it's costly? Or are we a country so desperate for economic wins that we'll swallow our objections and smile for the cameras? I know which one I think it is. And I suspect, deep down, so do you, this is modern Britain. Pragmatic, transactional, willing to compromise on almost anything if the price is right. We've decided that India's investment matters more than India's relationship with Russia. We've decided that jobs in Britain outweigh concerns about civil liberties in India. We've decided that our economic future requires us to be rather less fussy about our friends' other friendships. Maybe that's the right call. Maybe it's the only call available to a medium-sized power trying to punch above its weight in an increasingly hostile world. But let's at least be honest about what we're doing. We're not building a partnership based on shared values. We're building one based on shared interests. And when those interests shift, as they inevitably will, we'll find out just how special this special relationship really is. If this breakdown of political calculation and realpolitik is your sort of thing, then you absolutely need to subscribe. Because British politics is only getting more complicated from here, and someone needs to actually explain what's really happening behind the diplomatic smiles and carefully worded statements. See you in the next one.